Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Ski. Thank you so much for popping by my channel for one of my takes. In this video, we're going to be diving into Candace Owens' conspiracy theory that perhaps it was Israel that actually killed Charlie Kirk. Even though in today's video, she's like, what? I never said that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Although for the past few weeks, that's exactly what she's been alluding to. And she's claimed to have this secret piece of evidence that could show that Charlie was about to very publicly say, you know what? I no longer can support Israel. She's been taking a lot of heat from other influencers saying, listen, if you have this proof, just show us. Why are you teasing this out for weeks on end? Just show us what the proof is and put this whole thing to rest. Like, we want to see it. It's basically a screen grab of a private chat that Charlie is having with several people. She didn't really tell everybody that was involved in the chat, although she did drop a name, Josh Hammer. She's a little bit of an axe to grind with him. But let's go ahead and take a peek at exactly what this chat was talking about.
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term.
This is funny because after he says this whole thing, like, okay, we're, starting to feel like maybe we can no longer support Israel and we've lost this Jewish donor. What do the other people say? Are they like, oh, no, okay, but don't do anything publicly with your, we need to really reconsider. They're like, oh, no, not Candace, not her. That's like their main concern here is that he's thinking about bringing her back. Now, we know a few years ago that Charlie Kirk did say some critical things about Israel. He went on the Patrick Bet David podcast and he was talking about, hey, was there a possibility of a stand down order over there in Israel? Like almost alluding to, did they let this happen so that we would have a reason to be able to go into Gaza and ethnically cleanse it? Like that was a big thing for him to say. But you'll notice after he said that, he never said anything critical of Israel like that ever again. Never.
Many times, the whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15, right? The whole country is surveilled. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. There were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. Was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? I gotta be careful the way I say this. They're gonna try to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I mean, I don't use that term lightly, okay? They're talking about basically removing 2.5 million people from there, okay?
I'm guessing he got a lot of phone calls about that because that was an extreme thing to say. At that point, I don't think anybody else was talking like that except him. Let's take a peek at what she had to say about Josh Hammer.
He has been spreading lies, saying that Charlie never flinched on Israel, right? Charlie never flinched. Oh my God, these people like Candace, they're lying. 48 hours before Josh Hammer was on that text thread.
Charlie was a close friend of mine, as you know. We actually spoke literally the night before his tragic and untimely death. And that was literally our last conversation. It's just so tragic. This letter that he wrote to the prime minister, Chris, I read back in June or July or so. And there were so many people in the aftermath of his horrific assassination, Candace Owens, folks like that, who were saying that, oh, Charlie was turning on Israel. He was ready to sell them out and renounce his life's work of sincere and genuine friendship with the Jewish people and the Jewish state. But this letter that he wrote to Bibi Netanyahu, Chris, literally begins. The first sentence of the letter is, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's a close paraphrase. As a Christian, one of my greatest joys in life is making friendships with the Jewish people and defending the state of Israel. That's literally the opening sentence of this letter.
Filth.
Ouch. In case you're thinking the same thing I was thinking, How did she get this? Like, where did this come from? Well, we found out that it was from Andrew Colvett. And there's a whole story there about why he sort of let this out. Let's take a look at that.
Take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But here we are.
I don't think that guy realizes what he just said. He just said, hey, you know what? We wanted to leave no stone unturned. So I shared that text message with people in the government to say, hey, could it have been Israel? Here's potentially a motive for why Israel maybe would have wanted to kill Charlie. He thought that, but even having said that, that's still grasping. Like it was one in many conversations where he was very supportive of Israel. Why kind of like pick this one little nugget out of a string of texts that he shared? Why do that? And then we go to find out that Charlie had been telling people, I think they may kill me. So let's go ahead and take a peek at this one.
I want to say one more thing rather explosively. 3 people told me off record. 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie. One who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be killed, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to kill him?
Like when I think of Charlie Kirk, I think of him as very pro-Israel. But in his view here, he's saying it's not enough. It's never enough. And short of you grabbing like a pair of pom-poms and draping yourself in the Israeli flag, you're basically anti-Semitic. Charlie Kirk had gone on the Megyn Kelly show to talk about a few things with her. So let's go ahead and listen to that.
And I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megyn, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat. Literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like, some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megyn, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megyn.
This had to do with his platforming of Tucker Carlson. And apparently some of the donors were very unhappy about that because Tucker Carlson's been pretty critical of Israel as of late. So let's think of this. If you are the prime minister of Israel, you've now been embroiled in a 2-year-long war. You have hostages to think about that are still over there in Gaza, and you still have to run the business of your country. Why does the prime minister of Israel care what Candace Owens thinks? Why is he carving out any of his time to focus on her? I think it's weird. She was pressuring him to release that letter that Charlie Kirk had sent to him. He didn't do it initially, but eventually she did get him to release that letter. Before he released the letter, Candace was, kind of trying to say that, listen, maybe it's not the love letter that we all think or that you're portraying it to be. But the letter gets released, and it's not really critical of Israel. It's basically Charlie Kirk saying, hey, you're losing support over here. I think what you really need to do is speak to the younger generation, perhaps, get some better pro-Israeli content over there on Insta, maybe YouTube, and on X. It was really a structured plan for how to, win over the hearts and minds of younger Americans. So it wasn't really bad, but it definitely was him saying, hey, tide's turning against you, and you need to figure this out. Why didn't she show this from the beginning? Why did she hide this for so long? I just don't understand. I don't understand why she just didn't say, hey, I believe this is the story, and this is what I have to show you. And clearly, this guy who shared the screen grab, he thinks it too. I mean, if he's showing this to the FBI saying, hey, if we're looking for people with motive, here's a suspect. Candace Owens' narrative is, hey, listen, I love Charlie Kirk, and if the roles were reversed and someone had killed me, I hope that Charlie would look into it and just not buy whatever the FBI is saying. I would want somebody to do a deeper dive and find out and make sure that the right person has been apprehended and will be convicted of what happened. Then why hold it for so long? If that's really what your intention is, why hold it? I just don't understand why we're 3 weeks deep into this, because number one, we don't really know when she got this. We know that he gave it to a federal official before Tyler Robinson was apprehended, but we don't know when it goes into Candace Owens' hands. But like I said, she's been teasing for a few weeks that indeed she does have this proof. So we can assume that it's at least been 2 weeks. Why hold it? And that's going to do it here for me tonight. Thank you so much for popping by for one of my takes, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.